Our topic today is we're kind of getting back to our roots of homeschooling. You all voted and you wanted to talk about structure and also resources. Now, I have a feeling the resources piece, what I've done is I've created another Google Doc that I'm going to share with our group. And I just put a couple of my favorite resources. I'm going to throw this link right now. And actually, you can all tell me if it works or not, because I got to make sure I made it public. So this is a Google Doc I created for resources specifically. If someone can open it and just like give me a thumbs up or come off mute and just tell me that it did open, that'd be awesome. And so I kind of put subjects. So I started with spelling resources, and then I've got math and science, history, ELA. And what I would love is for all of you to add your favorite resources. So we can start talking about that today. But we're going to really focus at the beginning part of this call about structure. Okay, so that's where we're going to start our call. So June 2024, April led her first Zoom call, and we called it schedules. So it's very similar to what we're talking about today. It was about creating a schedule in your homeschool. And there is so much good stuff in that call. Okay, thank you, Tanya. I'm going to have to make that public. It's right now, it's not public. I'll do that later. I don't want to waste our time with that right now. So April led a call about creating schedules, and I rewatched that call. There's so much goodness in that call. So you can rewatch that. I don't want to rehash that whole call. So I'm going to put my own spin on structure today. But some of the good things that she brought up is that like 20 minutes of academics a day is probably enough. And you're going to be keeping up with school kids, that's like an incredibly freeing thought, right? 20 minutes. And she's not talking about our non-speakers keeping up with autistic kids in school. We're talking about neurotypical kids keeping up with other neurotypical kids. I just wanted to put that playing field out for you. And I truly believe this because I unschooled my neurotypical kids, and they are thriving as teenagers. My daughter will be 20 this summer. My son will turn 17. So that's one golden nugget. Another golden nugget from that call, April talked about fitting homeschooling into your life. You're not trying to fit your life around homeschooling. You're putting homeschooling in its proper place. So the things that you have to do on a daily basis, those count, right? You have to feed your family. You have to make money, right, to support your family. So you're fitting homeschooling around your life. It's a mindset shift. Another thing I love that April put in that call is putting rest and downtime into your schedule. Okay, because so many of us like to cram. We think we get our calendars out, right? We get our little planners, and we try to we're like, oh, from 9 to 9:30, I'm going to do this, 9:30 to 10. And then when we don't follow that schedule, which inevitably happens, right? Because your kid's pulling on you, your kid's hungry, your kid's sick, then we feel like failures, right? And we're like, I can't do structure. I can't be consistent. And we beat ourselves up, okay? So all of that to say, you can go back to that previous call. And there were also two files that are great, you scroll all the way down in our file section. One was called A Day in the Life of a Homeschooler, and one was like a sample schedule, okay? So all of those are resources already in our community. I want to start today now with structure, and I want to make this a little interactive because I'm already talking way too much. Structure. And I want to talk about what it is, why we want it, and then how do we create it? So before we start about what it is, I want to start with what it's not. And I'd love for anyone to come off mute and or type in the chat. When you think of structure, what is, and when I say what it's not, what I mean is like what we don't want it to be. Okay. What I was just kind of talking about right now, maybe that spurred some thoughts in your head about structure. I'm going to stop talking and just wait for you all to give me some thoughts or feelings. They're all good. Raina in the chat says, it's not micromanaging your day. I love that word micromanage, because it just feels like you don't want someone micromanaging you, right? Like that's a negative feeling. So we don't want to micromanage our day. I love that. Tanya, ding, ding, ding. We don't want it to be school at home. That's right. Structure or routine or schedule, whatever you call it, It's not school at home. That was another amazing point that April hammered home on that call. You took your kids out of school because school doesn't work, right? And yet, school is mostly what we all know. It's what we grew up with. And so you have to actually consciously undo the school programming that's put into your head. You can't just trust that it will happen, okay? Because it's in your subconscious. When something's in your subconscious, it's going to control how you behave and what you do on a daily basis, whether you like it or not. So you have to face that directly and be like, no, I don't want school because school doesn't work. Okay. There's actually a word for this in homeschooling communities, not just, again, I'm going to keep telling you, a lot of these are homeschooling principles, not just for non-speakers or autism communities, but for all homeschoolers. It's called deschooling. Okay. So deschooling is like getting that school think out of your head so you can embrace the freedom that comes with homeschooling. Okay. So those are two huge ones that I had on my list. Not school. It's not rigid. Okay. Just because you have structure in your life, think of, if your bones are too brittle, right? Like our skeletal system, then they will break, right? Like we want something that supports us and that helps us, but we don't want it to be so brittle or rigid that it hurts us. It should never increase your stress, increase your guilt, or be turned into a punishment. Okay. So those are things that when we think of structure, it's not. So I have another question, similar. What's the opposite of structure? So this would be like chaos. Love it. I didn't think of that one. Opposite, chaos. I'm writing it down right now. And you can also come off mute if you're feeling really brave. It gets boring listening to my voice all the time. Flexible. So there's a positive. I love that. A positive other side of structure. And I always think of the magic between flexible and structure when we get that balance, right? Or when we kind of flow between them. Spontaneous. Now, I feel like spontaneous, I don't know for you all, is that positive or negative? Because I could see both ways. Like when you think of a spontaneous person, you're kind of like, oh, they're fun, right? But also some people hate spontaneity, right? And some of our kids really thrive on that regularity, mostly positive, right? Totally. So when I thought of the opposite of structure, I thought of having no direction, right? I thought of kind of bouncing around. And in that first call, I keep referring the June 2024 that April led, I came on and talked about how Carter would grab me and like drag me to the bedroom and then drag me to the kitchen and then drag me. And I'm like, I'm not getting anything done, right? And he needs me to be the leader, right? I'm the adult in the relationship. I'm the parent. And so when I just totally let him lead, especially because his body's apraxic, right? And his body is going to just bounce around, that's not going to be a positive experience for him or for me because it leads to frustration for both of us. Okay. Okay. So what is structure then? For me, a structure is a tool that fills a purpose or a need. Okay. So it's filling a purpose or a need. And so other words, why do we want structure? And I came up with 3 P words about why we want structure in our life. We want to foster, number 1, being productive. Okay. Now being productive, I think is another one of those words that in modern culture has kind of gotten a bad rap. It's kind of become negative in some ways because if we think of like big companies and like they want efficiency, they want workers to just like produce, right? Like we don't want to be compared to machines, right? But I can tell you as someone who's very like loosey-goosey, go with the flow, like getting like that when you're on the opposite side of it, it doesn't feel good, right? So there's this, it feels good to get things done, right? And type A people know this. They relate to us. They have their checklists and they're like, check, 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 I got this done, right? So being productive is not a bad thing, in my personal opinion. I think being productive when it's aligned with some other things that we're going to get to is really good for us. The second P word is progress. Okay, so we want structure because we want to see progress, right? And this can be this can be hard with our children and our families because progress, April and I talk about this. Progress is sometimes really small with our kids. It's almost invisible sometimes. And that's why you have to be aware, you have to look for it. You can't just, like with our neurotypical kids, sometimes progress is very opposite, right? It's like big leaps and bounds. And that can happen with our kids. But progress is another one of those things that when it's visible, it keeps us energized, it keeps us motivated, and it keeps us hopeful. That's why in Non-Speakers Homeschool Support, every month we celebrate with wins at the end of the month, right? Which is coming up in the next couple of days. We look back, because if we don't proactively look back, we can start feeling like nothing good is happening. Finally, the last P is purpose, okay? Humans thrive on purpose. I think this is generally well known, like happiness studies, things like that. Purpose is really important. Longevity, how long people live, is tied to purpose. So when we're clear on our purpose, all of these things are helped by having structure in our life. So how do we create structure? Now, this is where we're going to get into the tricky part, and we'll have some discussion about what works for you all. In my opinion, there's one thing that's really, really important, and that's identifying. It's another P word. I love alliteration, in case you know I'm such a dork. It's identifying your top priority. Okay. You have to identify your top priority. Now, I purposely only said one priority. I learned something recently. The word priority did not used to be plural. It was actually, priority meant one thing. In our modern culture, it actually started being shifted to priorities in the 1900s. I think it was the 50s or 60s. I don't remember exactly when. And what happens is, especially as autism parents, right? We have a lot of priorities, right? We're always researching, like, how can we make our kid healthier? How can we work on spelling? How can we, like, we've got, and then we have all of our other priorities, right? We've got our other kids. We've got to make the money. We've got to do the laundry. And so all of a sudden, everything's top priority, right? And you're totally overwhelmed. So that's why it's really important to start narrowing things down. This is where I do think, I'm going to just throw a little side note in here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but for me as a person of faith, this is where what really helps, because when people have faith, if they have a belief in something bigger than them, that can become their top priority, and it kind of puts everything else in its place. Now, I know we all have different beliefs here, and this is not like a Christian or a faith-based community. Many of us are. But I will just tell you, that is one of the benefits of having a deep faith, is that you're like, oh, wait, I'm getting off track. It's because I forgot what my highest priority was. Okay. Now, priority in the other sense is like being able to identify what's my priority right now. So moment to moment, it shifts, right? Like whatever the need is right in front of you, what person is in front of me that needs me? What need do I have that needs to be addressed right now? Okay. So then down here, I say, when our actions are misaligned with our top priority, how do we feel? What do you think I was thinking there? You can guess, and you know, I know this is like those teacher moments, right? Like, tell me what I was thinking. What's the right answer? But I bet someone will get it. When our actions are misaligned with our top priority, if you truly believe my family's my top priority, or my kids my top priority, but I'm doing X, Y, and Z, I'm not spelling with my kid every day, how do you feel? Guilty. I knew it. I knew it. You guys are brilliant. We feel guilty, right? Okay, now I want a quick note on guilt. I truly believe there's two kinds of guilt. One is appropriate guilt. The second is completely inappropriate guilt. Now, inappropriate guilt, and I get moms all the time, it's rampant in autism families. Moms that feel guilty when they should not feel guilty. For example, moms that are undergoing some other crisis in their lives. They've moved. Their parents are not well. So they're not just caregivers for their child, they're caregivers for their elderly parents or their sick parents. And they feel guilty. This is inappropriate guilt, and you have to face it directly. And it's like saying, get behind me, right? Like this is not helpful. And you know why? When I think of it as the priority, it's because your top priority in that moment is to take care of your parent, or it is to find your family a home. I remember a mom being on a call and they didn't have a home. That it was a hurricane in Florida. And then you add guilt on top of that. And these parents come to me, and mostly moms, and my heart breaks because I'm like, no guilt. Okay. Appropriate guilt, on the other hand, is when the guilt's trying to tell you something. You're misaligned. You have a top priority in your heart. You know it's the right thing to do. And yet, for some reason, you're not doing that thing. Okay. So April led a call about parent trauma a few summers ago, 2 summers ago. And she said something that's been in my mind ever since. She talked about how distraction is a trauma response. And ever since then, and you know why? Partly it's in my mind because distractions everywhere in our modern culture, our phones, the technology, the social media. But for autism families, yeah, we use distraction. I know I personally use distraction to distract me from the pain and from just getting through those hard feelings of, having a kid with autism. And so I still use it sometimes. I use NHS as a distraction. It's a positive distraction. I love emailing you all. I love doing this work, but I'm like, hey, guess what? You're supposed to be spelling with Carter. That's appropriate guilt. Do you see the difference between appropriate guilt and misappropriate? Okay. So I've been talking an awfully long time. I want to get to tools for creating structure. Like I said, there are a lot of different tools you can use for structure. So I gave you a couple tools at the beginning of the call. In our April gave us those tools, the day in the life. She also gave us an example schedule. My favorite tools, because I am more of a go with the flow person, have been we create goals every month in NHS, but April and I like to tell you all habits are way better than goals. So my favorite way of creating structure is having habits in my life. So every morning I do the same things with Carter, even though I'm not really good at what I think of as creating structure. When I have these habits in place, I don't go off track. So if you can start having habits in the morning, in the evening, those become routines. Another thing that I just started using as an adult in my 40s is a planner. Because I didn't really need one before that. But now my life is so much busier with 3 kids, with homeschooling, I need a planner. Other ways that you can create structure. I have created freebies where I've identified these 5 building blocks of homeschooling your non-speaker. For me, I come back to those all the time. Those building blocks help me identify what my top priority is. So the 5 building blocks spell out them, THEM. T is talk to them. And that's all about presuming competence. It's about reading to them. It's about putting documentaries on. H is health and habits. So that's like their diet. If you're trying alternative health things, getting out for walks. E is explore the world. So that's community integration. It's starting to make friends. It's going to the grocery store. It's all those kind of things. And M is motor. So those are like 4 big areas. And you can be like, okay, we're doing okay in this. I have habits, but I'm not doing this other one. That can help you identify a priority, make a goal, and then you start getting into a habit. Carter and I, with one of the NHS members, the first year we started, so in 2024, we hadn't been exercising and we knew Carter wasn't sleeping well. I got an accountability partner in our group, Mary, and she wanted to walk with her non-speaker too. And now Carter and I walk almost every day, sometimes twice a day. And that's a habit. And it's so good for all of us, obviously, as exercise and getting him to sleep. Okay, I'm going to open it up now. You can ask questions. You can share with us your favorite ways of creating structure or what you're struggling with. It's all open. You can share in the chat. You can also come off mute. We would love that. And it's all turning the tables over to you guys now.